It is the 4th of July, 2024, Independence Day, and I want to share a few thoughts on what it means to me and to countless people who've been left out and left behind by this empire of lies and bigotry. A lot of the folks waving the flag on this day never understood what it could have been or even what it tried to be. They cling to the worst aspects of the founders' generation, their white supremacist views, for example, and ignore all the good in what they tried. This country was created by liberals and a few leftists. The conservatives of the day were loyal to monarchy and an established church and rejected the idea that people could work together and govern themselves. That attitude never died. It's morphed into the reactionary politics of the right. They don't honor freedom at all. For example, they claim to love the First Amendment, yet they shit on the media, the colleges, the socialists, anyone who's different from them. They claim to love the Second Amendment, yet ignore that it was meant to stand in place of a military and police, those tyrannical forces the founders knew to distrust, but that the right worships. In the end, these folks only care about power and an illusion of privilege. They reject the liberalism of the founders just as they reject all the progress since. In teaching history publicly, I cannot count the number of times I've heard them excuse the crimes of the past. They'll blow off patriarchy and spousal rape and workplace sexual harassment by saying it was a different time and no one had a problem with it. No one knew it was bad. They excuse slavery the same way. That's how it always was. No one knew it was bad. Such views make really clear who they think is an actual person whose views matter. And guess what? It's not women, it's not ethnic minorities, it's not the poor or the queer or immigrants. I want to riff on an 1852 speech by Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist and former slave, or rather, to give you a couple excerpts from it and ask you to extend its logic beyond the enslaved. This country claims to be free, though in truth we're ranked 62nd in the world for freedom, and many people here have much less freedom than that. We have more people living in extreme poverty than Mexico, despite being a vastly richer country. We continue to abuse Native Americans, African Americans, Hispanics, Muslims, Jews, immigrants, the LGBTQIA plus community, leftists of all stripes, and the poor, of course. We have literal political prisoners, and the right wants more of them. Please, sorry, my allergies are terrible. Please listen to some of what Douglass has to say in this first excerpt, and understand that nothing has changed from this time to ours. He asks us, what to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him, more than all other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham, your boasted liberty, an unholy license, your national greatness, swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless, your denunciations of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence, your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery. Your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, and all your religious parade and solemnity are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages. There is not a nation on the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of these United States at this very hour. Douglass doesn't mince words. He calls out the self-serving lies and propaganda on which the American dream is based. This is a country built on and sustained by genocide. It is a belligerent empire that manipulates or attacks other countries at will. It is a country whose racial laws and eugenic practices inspired Hitler and the Nazis. It is a nation where people continue to recycle the anti-immigrant rhetoric of the know-nothings, the irrational racial ideology of the Klan, the extreme nationalism of fascists. We've never really been free. And in all your flag waving, you are demanding that the people most harmed by American hubris instead celebrate it. But I cannot celebrate a system that holds more people in prison than any country in world history. I cannot celebrate a nation that tolerates chauvinistic and violent groups like the Proud Boys and Three Percenters. I cannot respect a country that offers up a meaningless choice between two senile authoritarians who both agree that genocide is fine and subservience to wealth is natural. You are not free, America. You have never been free. The generation that fought the British Empire for freedom created a system that was more oppressive than British rule, with tighter restrictions on women, greater separation along racial lines, and a more genocidal view of the indigenous population. To celebrate the creation of a violent slave state strikes me as an absurd mockery of the very concept of freedom. So wave your flags and lick those boots and cheer for your dictator of choice, but I will stand in the shadow of Frederick Douglass, whose understanding of this country's nature is deeper and more honest than that of any politician or pundit around. I'll end with another brief excerpt from his 1852 speech. Go where you may, search where you will, roam through all the monarchies and despotisms of the old world, travel through South America, search out every abuse, and when you have found the last, lay your facts by the side of the everyday practices of this nation, and you will say with me that for revolting barbarity, shameless hypocrisy, America reigns without a rival. Happy 4th of July.